I'm Lucy.
We're coming to you live from the studio, and you are listening to
The Big
Picture
Podcast.
Podcast. And tonight we are chatting with
Sea Change Brewing. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Yeah, who the heck are you guys?
I'm Taylor. I'm the head brewer co-owner. And then we have...
I'm Pete. I'm a co-owner as well. I don't even know what I do. I do a lot of the marketing, art, branding stuff. That's what I do. Yeah.
Cool.
Key to some of these drinks
Exactly.
too. Like honestly,
But
they're
they have
gorgeous.
to work together.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And it does work pretty well too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think we found a pretty good combo.
Yeah.
How did Sea Change become Sea Change?
I think you should start.
Yeah.
It's a
what's
very-
the backstory?
There's a lot of interwoven pieces to it, but I'll let you start and I'll jump in when I come around.
Yeah.
Okay, so back in, let's say, I think it was 2017-ish, myself and one of our other partners were working at another Edmonton brewery.
Names? Who?
Well,
No.
I don't know. Does it matter anymore?
No.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
No, it was Yellowhead Brewery. Ian, our I guess fearless leader, president, CEO, big boss man. He was running Yellowhead at the time, and I think there's a lot of scenarios where you work for a company and you see how things are done and you think maybe we could do this on our own. It's not so hard, or not even not so hard. It is really hard, but
Behind the scenes, you get to know some knowledge.
totally, yeah, and it doesn't seem so daunting. So I think after the experience working there, we kind of just one day decided that it would be cool to do our own thing, and it seemed feasible. And also we were kind of running the place like we owned it already, so it just kind of made sense that we should do our own thing. So we started Sea Change, the company, in 2017. We were incorporated, I believe, and then we sold our first beer in December of 2017, which was you have a question about this, should I wait?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll jump in mine because it's like the same. So,
And that's where Pete comes in.
Yeah. So Ian had the crazy idea to start it. He had the brewer, which is Taylor, coming along. And then he sort of like Ocean's 11, like a crew together. So like
That's a really good analogy. Yeah.
Like he was like the mastermind. So he's like, I got this and I need this. So like he basically, I felt like he just like went through his phone and found everyone he knew from the past. That
It's
was
like it was
like
almost meant to be
the
there
right
in a
person.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
organic.
he asked me to jump in and do a bunch of branding, marketing stuff because I've done stuff with Yellowhead in the past, and I was also in a band. Ian was in a band, and I did merchandise and album artwork for them like 10 years ago. Like, we've been friends for a little while.
Yo, which band? What was their name?
I was in the Weekend Kids.
The Weekend Kids.
Yeah, and then Ian was in Owls by Nature. And yeah, it was just like this
Nice.
fun thing, and he created this whole crew. So I met like some of the people I knew already. Like, we've met briefly before because of Yellowhead, and then some of the other partners I got to know and I've met also from other bands.
Fun fact, I bartended Pete's wedding before we even knew each other.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was at Yellowhead. That's why.
Yeah,
It was at Yellowhead. That
We're
wedding
getting
got
married.
lost. Yeah.
It was so funny.
So
What are the odds?
so it was like, you want to do it? I said, sure. And that was it. That's basically how it went.
Yeah, Ian basically just phoned all of us individually, like found the right person for the right job, called us all up, and convinced everyone and said, "Are you in?" Basically,
Yeah.
not
Are you
like
in? Are you in?
not an ultimatum, but an ultimatum.
Pretty
Like,
much. Because
You're out.
he already leased the spot when he asked me.
Yeah.
He was like, good, because we're already doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's already
Good,
happening.
because you have no choice now.
Yes or yes.
yeah. So I guess Ian was definitely like the catalyst that started everything, and I guess formed the idea for the brewery. And then when we all got together, it kind of solidified as we went on. So
Yeah. Where did you guys want to even create it from? Like from an idea or from a perspective of let's do our own thing? We want to create our own brand. What kind of impression did you guys want to have?
Maybe I could talk about like the beer, and then because I'm more
flavor wise.
And then Pete is kind of, I guess, more responsible for like the general direction of the branding and marketing, so he's probably better equipped to answer that. But as far as the
let's go flavor and aesthetic.
Yeah. We're changing our names.
That's so funny.
I guess for the beer, like we always wanted it to be. There's a lot of craft beer out there, as everybody knows. There's a lot of crazy, off the wall, different flavors and styles, and there's a overload of choices. It feels paralyzing sometimes, so we just wanted to kind of cut through that a little bit and be a little bit more approachable. I think blue collar craft beer is kind of a good summary of what we're trying to go for. Make it a little more accessible. Make it don't make people feel like it's pretentious or snobby to drink it or appreciate it, and just approach everything with really high quality in mind, but also high quality with approachability, which is a really kind of hard line to ride. I think with beer, it's very easy to start doing a bunch of like esoteric, weird styles that very, very few people like.
Pineapple and peanut butter.
Or we drink a lot of.
Or
we want to drink a lot of it.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like, I absolutely love all the barrel-aged beers and mixed ferment beers and lambics and all those beers.
There's some funky stuff out there, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. But like, I'm not I don't want to make a beer necessarily that you can't drink at least a couple pints of. So yeah. It was very much like drinkability, drinkability first, and then focus on quality, variety, local ingredients as much as possible, and then that kind of really jived with what Pete wanted to do too, I think. So
yeah, when it came to branding, because we were all in bands at some point, it was super easy to understand like all you have to do is make approachable, like you have to make good music, but you have to also make it listenable, and then you also have to get people to go to your shows, so you have to have good like song names, you have to have good lyrics, you have to have good music, and be like personable people as well. So we kind of brought all of that, and we brought in like a lot of merchandise, like all of our t-shirts and stuff are all fun shit, like, and then
they really
like,
are. I love your guys'
so
entire like every single choice, you couldn't go wrong like with any one of them. I really like the what's that fabric called with the lines in it too, the corduroy stuff.
Yeah.
Guys, you're so cool.
Yeah, we just want to make things that people will like to wear all the time, like to drink all the time, and that's basically how it goes.
Super cool.
I love your guys' clothing, yeah.
And what was the first beer that you guys made?
First beer was the Blonde Ale.
And it was supposed to be we thought we were only going to make really one beer for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was another. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, it was the Blonde Ale, which is, it was tough to decide, like, what the first beer should be, because that kind of, like, really sets the stage for what you want to say as a brewery. So our first beer was pretty approachable, pretty easy. Not, like, the most exciting thing, but that was by design. We didn't want to just come out with like something crazy that would be super polarizing. We wanted something that hardcore beer drinkers, beer nerds would appreciate, and then also people who maybe aren't super into craft beer could try it for their first time, and it would be relatively accessible and maybe get them into craft beer more as a whole. So yeah, Blonde Ale, first one.
Yeah, it was really good ingredients, right? Like all
and local,
properly sourced, good ingredients, water, of course, from here.
Really good.
And then just something that people could see side by side with like a PBR or any other sort of mainstream beer, and be like, it's priced right, and it's from here, and it's got good shit in it. So that's what we were going for.
Sold, man.
And it never had a name. It was just like called what it was.
Yeah,
was when we started, which is, I don't know when this is coming out, but we have some ideas on how we can update that.
Yeah.
which you haven't even seen yet.
No, I
I'll
haven't.
show it to you guys, but you can't tell anybody.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's a podcast. So
Because we'll
people can't
see. I think
see.
I think we're happy with it. So
The first two beers we released were the Blonde Ale and the Irish Red Ale, and we just called them Blonde Ale and Irish Red Ale.
Mm-hmm.
And like that works, and there's a lot of beers out there that are just called like the brewery IPA or the brewery name and lager or whatever, but I think we recognized after that like attaching a strong name to it was like the Wolf or Prairie Fairy, for example, is probably the smarter move.
Yeah.
Yo, the Prairie Fairy though, so
Prairie
true.
Fairy.
Was that Fruit Loops?
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Oh, like the shirt.
yeah,
Man, that's so
but you can't tell anybody.
can I describe it?
Looks dope.
Can I describe what it looks like? Like,
Yeah, well,
or what it reminds me of?
Yeah, sure.
It reminds me of like the anti-hero skateboard logo
yeah.
and like a Budweiser
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
also
yeah.
can, like mixed.
That's
you know?
interesting. Yeah.
I
That-
really like that.
I think we're really doubling down on
The
the
fact
fact
that there's
that
a can
like.
on the can.
Anyway, that's
awesome.
yeah. So we're bringing it. We're
Tight.
bringing it back. We're making it a big deal again. Giving it a name, which we'll tell people later.
Yeah, an update of the first beer we released.
That's
'Cause
awesome.
It feels like it needs it at this point. So
Yeah.
Same recipe though, not changing.
Same beer.
And what is your guys' favorite beer? Both like
Yeah.
that you've made and like that exists.
Ooh, okay. Easy one for me. Favorite one we've made is actually this one.
It's really good.
It's delicious. Yeah.
Thanks.
So this is the blind enthusiasm collaboration beer.
So definitely that one.
Mediterranean lager.
Best beer I've ever had. That's a really hard question. It's probably like asking Pete, "What's your favorite band?" But I would say
He's like, nah. Don't even start with me.
I would say there's a brewery in Belgium called Cantillon outside of Brussels. They make a beer.
Going fancy.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Belgium.
that's what it's a part two. It's a two-part answer. So that's my fancy beer. Is like
He's a beer nerd.
yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah, I gotta have one fancy one.
Uh-huh.
Cantillon Lou Pepe, it's called, which is a lambic beer aged in wine barrels.
That's just fun to say.
Super good. And then a favorite, like, I guess just super crushable, everyday, daily driver beer. Probably Pilsner Urquell fresh, or like the Blind Enthusiasm Fab Hellas Lager, Snake Lake Hellas Lager. Really any like super drinkable European style lager that's fresh and hopefully made in Alberta. That's always a bonus. So
Yeah.
You know it.
it's kind of a, I guess, cop-out answer that's pretty vague, but
Totally.
Oh, you gave a good list there. I'm like writing down my grocery list right now.
I have terrible options. For our beer, I liked the one beer that everyone forgets about was the Session Ale.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That was like phenomenal.
Should bring
It's
it
like
back.
4%. It was great. It was an easy drinking beer, but it had a lot of fun character to it. It just wasn't like the most exciting. It wasn't boring and it wasn't exciting. It's sort of in the middle, and it sort of just didn't do what we wanted it to do. But it tasted great, and I liked it.
we also released it when we didn't have anyone doing sales, so it just kind of
No one sold it.
no one sold it. We weren't telling anyone to
Yeah.
sell
Yeah.
it, so I bet if we relaunched it with the whole sales
We
team
probably
now, it
would.
would do well. But
Yeah, we probably would. And then the best beer, in my opinion, beer is so like specific to when you have it and why you have it.
Yes.
Like weirdly enough, like the most like awesome time that I had a beer and it was like one or two beers, and it was like the right time was I was helping a friend build a fence, and it was like 33 degrees outside. And like a buddy came by and brought like ice cold Coronas. and,
Glorious.
and that moment was like, you can't recreate. Even if I have a Corona again, it's never going to be that warm
good.
at that time.
Oh, with the sunshine.
So that
on
was
you.
huge.
Nice
So
and chill.
we're not snobby. Like
no, that's actually the
Yeah.
big thing that we talk about is like it's not So someone, I've been getting really into espresso lately, which is like a whole thing, but someone like a really well-known barista said like the best espresso he ever had was when he was on vacation in Italy. He had just finished a big project at work. It was early in the morning, the sun was just rising, and basically like all the planets were aligned, and that's why it was the perfect drink. And I think it's the same with beer.
Yeah.
There's definitely all those kind of like intangible elements that add to a tasting experience, and those are what we, I think, try to like. We pay attention to a lot of that stuff in our tap room and design the kind of experience around that.
Yeah. And that's why we got to change all of our tasting notes to painting a story and talking about personalities.
Like less specific flavor words and more talking about experiences. And the wine,
we joke about it all the time. We joke about it all the time, but there's something to it. Yeah. It's not the only thing to it, but there's something to it.
Paints a picture, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite like sea change beer is Prairie Fairy.
Yeah.
That's also like exclusively the only thing I ever drink at the aviary. Every single time when I was
so it's always a good time.
Yeah.
But like, best beer I ever had was Backroads Brewing in Nelson. They have like a hippie catcher Kolsch, and they only had it like for like a month. This like one summer, and it was like this terrible trip where we had nowhere to sleep, we had nowhere to go, we were so broke, and we're like, okay,
disaster of a
just
trip.
sat on like the street in Nelson, had this like glorious beer, and it was like, it's fine.
The right beer at the right
time, and it was great.
That is too funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a favorite beer too, I guess I could mention. I forget what it's called though, but it's so good. At the station. It was right by where I lived at the time, so I'd always walk out of my apartment and go right to the station down on White Ave. And they have this one beer where they actually lie about the percentage. It's just above legal, but don't tell anyone. So it's one of their most potent beers, and it's a bit darker and it's heavier, chocolatey kind of. I don't know what the flavor was, but it was, chuggable. It was good. So you sit out there on the patio, hot summer day, drink some of that. All you need is one beer, And it was right around the corner from my house, so it was one of those things where it's like, you want to get out. You want an excuse to get out. It's White Ave. It was like probably the summer. This is the most time I went there. Oh, gosh. And now I'm not living there anymore. One of my best memories there. But still, I'm going to go back and get one of those big...
Yeah, you got to find out what it is.
What is that, a liter or a gallon?
Growler?
And just get a gallon's worth of whatever it was.
Describe it to them like that.
Yeah. The one that's the highest percentage.
Give me a gallon.
Give me a gallon. They know me in there.
And how do you guys name your beers?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We kind of just shoot out a bunch of names. We have a list. Like, we have our own, like I keep a list. You probably keep everyone has their own list where it's just, like, something funny or stupid. Even bad ideas. That. You got to get it out of your system and just so list it. And maybe one day you'll find a home for it. But
a lot of them just come up in conversation and we'll say, like, oh, that's a good beer name, and then we'll write it down and sometimes forget about it forever, and then...
Tangerine Monkey!
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
the art goes first, and then we figure out what to do with it. Like, it's different every single time we name something.
It's a lot easier when there's, like, when we're doing it for, like, a charity or partnering with someone, or when there's there's something to attach it to,
Mm-hmm.
But when we're just like, oh, okay, we're going to come out with a new seasonal beer, what do we name it? It
could be anything. Could be anything.
Yeah. Cool.
You should get a generator machine.
There actually is a beer name generator, and you can look at it's hilarious. Like, and it's spot on too. Like, it basically just makes fun of all the hype beer names. It's really funny.
It's like when you get like a rapper name.
Yeah, yeah.
And who makes all of the artwork for the cans?
That's me.
This guy.
And how do you get the inspiration for what you're doing?
That's the same thing too. Like, not all of it makes sense. Like, sometimes the image comes first. We just like an image, and then we find a name for it. Like, we did a collaboration with Faro, the sandwich shop Faro, and there's cronuts in it, and for some reason there's a bat, and it's called Turbo Stout. Like, none of it lines up, but it looks cool. It was great on a t-shirt, and it was
That-
just fun.
That one I remember.
Is it good with the Greek sandwich?
Oh man, that one Ian was like, I just want to call a beer Turbo Stout. It was like, I have this name, Turbo Stout. I want to do this. We're like, okay, well, there's.
And then how are you supposed to draw something for that?
Yeah.
Turbo Stout.
You know what I mean?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
So it was a bat. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So none of it
That's
makes
sick.
sense. We just do whatever. What we found out was if we brew beer that we like to drink, and we do art that we just enjoy, and we name it something we like to say, it usually works pretty
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly.
Well, the
Yeah.
cans
Shines
are like
through.
so cool too. Like it just adds an extra like.
Yeah, they're all fun.
Like I feel like I'm
They're
like
fun.
I don't want to recycle it. Like it's
Yeah.
not cute, like, you know?
And your
I don't
style
wanna
is
think of it.
just a little bit like, how do you say, like almost a old timer sailor tattoo
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a way,
yeah, like
but also a
tattoo
mix
flash.
of
Yeah.
right. Also a mix of like just skulls and deadliness too. It's got that like creepy underscore sometimes. I just love it so much.
Yeah, it's just
Good vibes.
It's a ton of fun, and like everyone likes like that kind of style's been around forever. Like I didn't invent it, and it's classic, so everyone
It's a
gets it.
classic
They
again,
look at it
yeah.
and they get it. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to explain to them. Like it's almost easier if we didn't explain to them why.
Yeah.
Isn't it just ruining you?
Yeah, exactly. Like Death Wave is a funny one because it's like super low alcohol, easy drinking beer, and it's called Death Wave, and there's a skeleton surfing on it. Like it's just way overboard, and it's a super easy drinking beer. You know.
I
And
love
did
that.
you do like before Sea Change? Were you still like making art?
Yeah, for a long time when I was playing music, I was doing artwork for other bands, doing album covers, doing merch like T-shirts and merch and stuff like that.
That's
and,
awesome.
Yeah, so, and then all my jobs were creative jobs, so it all sort of just made sense to do it here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I was gonna ask, what's up with your guys' beer, Jaego Death?
Yeah. We've been dying to talk about
Yeah.
it.
Jaego
There's
Death.
not
I'm
much
holding it in.
there's not much to say because we still don't know who they are.
Mhm.
Oh.
We kept it that way.
Yeah, no one knows.
No one knows. They one of
Mystery.
their first handful of posts, they made one that made fun of us. So they made one which was exactly what's on the can. They put "Sea Change will make a beer about me," and
Oh, totally.
at that time we put out like 3 or 4 beers in a month because it was during COVID. And we just needed to
Yeah.
we just need to keep busy and do something and do cool shit. So they made a joke about that, being like, yeah, like everyone gets a beer and they're gonna make a beer about me. And then we direct message them was like, we would. And then it took us a while to
That's
figure out
just
what
so
the
funny
beer
to me.
was,
Yeah.
what the beer we wanted to make was, and how crazy we could make it. And then we did it, and we just communicate with them on through email, so we don't
Yeah.
know and find out who they are.
But what about you guys' Wisdom and Mall event?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they were there. We gave them tickets. They sent a decoy to come to the brewery. We had a code word. I wasn't there, and they would say the code word, and then someone would just give them the stuff, and they leave.
Pete went to great lengths to avoid finding out who they were because he could have, but he knew he couldn't trust himself with that information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with great power comes great responsibility.
It's also like
Me neither, man.
I
Me
tell
neither.
everybody. One beer,
Yeah.
one beer. I'd be
beer.
here right now,
Yeah.
being like, "This is." But I think
just
it's
sent
more.
you their
I think it's
Instagram.
more than one person.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too good and too creative to just be one person.
That
Like,
person
would
would be
wild.
tortured at home by themselves. No one to talk to, just doing it.
And that's why they're posting like that, is because they're like insane. in their
They're a little
brain.
insane. Maybe it is one person.
Yeah.
And the decoy was
I
them.
love the way they talk too, because they even message you in the same language.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, they keep it
Caps
up. They
and
keep
the-
it up.
Yeah.
The lifestyle.
Manifest it. So funny.
Yeah, so we did the beer, and that was, we told them what it was going to be like, and they were stoked, and we did it, and then we thought it'd be funny to release it at the water park, and West Edmonton Mall did not say no,
Yeah.
so we did
Yeah.
it.
Sweet.
The beer was supposed to be kind of we had been talking for a little while about doing a margarita type beer, and so it was very much it was like, okay, collab with Jaego Death, what kind of beer ideas do we have that are super weird that fit with that? And like salted smoked pineapple margarita thing sounded pretty cool.
Yes.
So
Smoked pineapple.
We really didn't even give it a name. It just says exactly what's in it.
yeah.
That's the name.
I feel like it's like been doing pretty good though. Like
Yeah.
every time I tried to get it, it was sold out.
It was all sold out
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah,
Limited
it's
edition.
It's weird enough that people just want it, whether they
Understand what it
understand
is.
it or not. It's like they're gonna drink it and be like, "Oh, okay,"
Yeah.
and it's just fun.
This is
It's just
that meme
fun.
beer, right?
Yeah, yeah. And there's people who don't know it's a meme, and it's like the label is so ugly.
It is. Yeah.
They're like overboard, and like people are like, I don't know what that means.
in the style.
Yeah,
In the style of Diego Death. Oh, that's too funny.
that's so funny. And speaking about like a little bit more about art, do you guys have any favorite like local artists right now? People in the city that
Shout
make
out,
some
shout
good
out.
art?
Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to a bunch of them. We, there's a lot. There's so many different kinds of artists, so it's so hard to be like there's one particular person. Though I'll call out one person, which is like a friend of mine who I've known for a while, just through the music world, and he's been around for a long time. And it's Mitch, Mitchy Dagger. If
Mitchy.
you want to look him up on Instagram, and he's one of those guys that just like everything that we do at Sea Change. It was like the style we work on and like the vibe we have is just like he's that guy all the time, and we hired him last year to work with us, which is a pretty sweet thing to be able to do. And
Such a good fit.
yeah, so he's been doing a bunch of artwork for us now, so I do less of it, and he's kind of running with it, and I'm stoked because he's great. So I'd say he's one of my favorite, and
Mitchy Dagger.
yeah, snag him up before someone else does.
Yeah. I'm not like super up on a lot of the local artists, but I mean, other than the ones that have done stuff with us and are Pete's friends, which is like a surprising amount of people.
Small community though, like
Yeah.
artists are.
It's
you know,
true,
they're
you
all
gotta be
buddies.
connected to make
Yeah.
it work. Yeah.
A lot of tattoo artists are
Hamburger Hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, hamburger hands.
Really,
down in
really big
Calgary.
fan of his.
Yeah, we went to college together.
Man.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Big fan.
He did a lot of. He like came and drew a bunch of stuff on our walls, and
Yeah. Mitch did too.
oh, Mitch did too. Yeah.
yeah. Bunch of friends went and drew on the walls.
Hamburger Hands is cool.
Oh, I've got one of his paintings in my other room. I have to show you guys.
Was it?
Well,
is it
was a
graphic?
print, but
Yeah.
print. Graphic painting. I put it behind glass in a frame and everything. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like, it's my painting. Oh, it's so good.
No, I didn't mean that. I was trying to be a dick. It's probably like a dick or someone's butt or something like that.
I love the butt ones, but no, I got a bong one.
Okay, yeah.
But yes, there's a lot of butts in it.
I wasn't
yeah.
commenting on you
Yeah.
being painting. I'm not that kind of artist. That's not a painting.
Yeah.
I surely do love it though. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I'll show you guys afterwards. It's so funny.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Yeah, lots of good artists. There's so many different kinds of artists outside of just like painters and illustrators. Because like we did a bunch of murals last year. We're doing a few more this summer, and that's something too. Like graffiti artists, there's some awesome ones. Rust Magic was a nice crew of them that helped us out on how to actually paint something on a wall that was 4 stories tall. So
Yo.
it's a very cool community of people, and yeah, I'd shout them out because they're sweet. Yeah.
Are brewers artists?
Brewers
Yes!
are artists.
Yeah.
Very much. It is an art.
That's a-
Actually,
They have actually the most useful art because you can drink it and get wasted off of it.
Agreed.
Yeah, Edmonton's actually really great for. I feel like in the beer community, like the people who make and sell and like work in beer, Edmonton really has like a concentration of really awesome people in the beer scene.
Yeah, what's up with Edmonton, right? It's
It's-
crazy.
Like if you look at even just the relatively small amount of breweries here compared to Calgary or other big cities in Canada that have lots of breweries, I think the quality of the breweries in Edmonton it's more quality than it is quantity here for sure. Like the breweries that are here and the brewers that are here making beer, Ben Stick, Blind Enthusiasm, Alley Cat,
I love a good alley cat.
Trial and Ale, Ale Architect, Long Roof, Analog,
That's a good one.
You're on the spot now. If you
Now-
miss someone,
now I can't miss
someone.
Oh, now I
It's gonna be
can't
real
miss
bad.
anyone. There's a bunch of I won't be too specific, but there's a bunch of really good brewing talent in Edmonton, and a lot of them haven't opened breweries yet, and we're gonna see that happening in the next little bit here. So the best is yet to come, I think. Yeah.
That's super exciting.
No kidding. Yeah, especially with everything kind of starting to open up. Springtime, summer's coming around the corner. Everyone's going to want to be drinking beers.
Absolutely.
People are going to be out there. People are going to be listening to music. People are going to be at events and stuff. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited! Speaking of, actually, do you mind if I ask, you guys having any events this year? Or do you guys take part in any festivals or sponsorships?
We got like our own festival.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Super friendly.
Yeah. So the Super Friendly is like a punk festival that we've been trying to throw throughout COVID, and it just every year it's been canceled. So we finally pushed it this year. Huge bands on it. It's 2 days now. And it's just punk bands for 2 days. It's great.
Ooh,
All day,
goodness,
lots
that's
of
totally
beer.
up our alley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go to, what is it? areyousuperfriendly.com.
Oh, what are the dates again, too?
September 10th
September.
and 11th.
Yeah, that's
That's
oh,
what it
that's
was,
right.
yeah.
Around my
And
birthday.
it's almost sold out.
Oh.
I think you should go get tickets. I think it's like
right
down to
now.
like
Yeah.
It went way quicker than we thought. Like it's
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's actually the same weekend as the Strathern Art Walk, though, now that I think about it.
do both.
Too bad. Just do both. Actually,
Do
yeah,
both.
Back and
right?
forth, back
It's like literally like each
Day
day.
and night.
Each day is like 12 hours of music.
Yeah.
There's gonna be like an outside component inside where the music is at, and it's just beer gardens outside and merch and some
Wow.
fun stuff, and then you can go in and out as often as you want. So definitely worth it.
Woohoo.
Yeah, I gotta get tickets. That sounds awesome.
Get 'em
We've been
before it's too late,
trying
guys.
to do a festival for 3 years, so this is
Yeah.
Isn't it
Yeah.
so true though? Like
At
you and
this
everyone
scale.
else right now, it's crazy how much we've all tried for the last 3 years
Yeah,
to
yeah.
try and get anything
And we're like
done.
thinking it's gonna go. We're like, this is the year. This
Yeah.
is it. And that's okay. Shit.
I think
Well,
it's the
and we're not
end.
there yet, so we don't
No.
even know. This kid, who knows what's
Yeah.
gonna happen in
Yeah.
2 months.
God.
But yeah,
Right
so
now.
the amount of bands all together, it's like an impossible lineup that I don't think would have happened if it wasn't for COVID. Kind of like bumming everyone out, and everyone's looking for shows. Like I don't know how we pulled it
Yeah.
off, but it's pretty insane.
I tell you what, the people are hungry, though. It's been showing,
Yeah.
like, time and time again, and what little things are happening
Oh, yeah.
here and there, but
Yeah.
people are hungry.
People are hungry, bands are hungry, everyone just
Yeah.
wants to do something.
Yeah.
Exactly. And speaking of music, who are you guys listening to locally
Yeah.
right now?
Locally,
Ooh, locally.
all the bands suck locally. Just what? Since we stopped playing it, no.
Scenic Route to Alaska.
Oh,
Ding, ding,
amazing.
ding, ding.
Which we're doing an event coming up with them.
No way.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
they're
cool.
good buddies with us, and we've done a bunch of little things with them. And
They're awesome guys.
I think by the time this comes out, maybe it's still I don't even remember the date, but we're working on.
End of the month? I don't know.
They're playing in Red Deer, and we were doing a thing where we'll give you a couple beers, put you on a bus, and take you down to Red Deer to go see them. So
That is so
yeah.
cool.
And we've done that before.
Yeah, we
We've
did.
done that
It's so
before.
smart.
Yeah.
It's like the Oilers bus, but
Exactly.
Like, different.
We did
To
it.
go to a smaller town.
Yeah.
The last-
to watch a local band.
Yeah. To Red Deer.
But we'll put you on a bus
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we'll
it's
give
a
you
smart-
drinks.
it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
And the last time we did that, we didn't have beers in cans yet, and we were still very new, so we just like filled a bus and brought a keg on the bus and with a pump and gave everybody a red Solo cup,
And we killed that beer before
in like 5 minutes.
before we even left
Oh
the
my
city.
God.
Everyone was like drank the whole keg.
Yeah.
And then we forgot to bring water. So
Oh, yeah.
no.
Lesson learned for this time.
Yeah.
Get some water bottles in there.
yeah,
Smart.
exactly.
A few crackers, and just in case. You know.
Yeah, we make beer. We don't do events.
No, yeah, exactly.
Make beer for the event. Cool. Who are you listening to locally?
Oh yeah, that was the question. How the
Yeah.
hell did we?
Yeah.
Oh, Scenic Route.
Scenic
Oh,
Route, we
yeah,
went
that's
off
right.
on a tangent.
Yeah, the awesome thing is like there's a bunch of bands, people who are still in bands that work with us, which is awesome. So I'd shout them out maybe, but Scenic Route, Trevor worked with us for a little while too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And then this band called Ultimata, which is a good buddy of mine who's also a designer, Eric, and he's still in the band. And then their new, I think Lucas is playing guitar with them or bass with them, something like that. Yeah, and he works for us as well. So those guys are sweet.
Lucas Chason.
Yeah.
Another local artist shout out. Yeah, he's awesome.
Some good talent.
Yeah,
there.
really good bands. Not a ton of punk bands locally for me, but
Not anymore.
not anymore. Yeah.
Just saw on Saturday a band called Asbestos play the Sound Machine Factory. They did
I
Oh, yeah.
love
like
them. I dance
SNFE
so hard.
covers,
Oh,
like
sweet.
that kind of like vibe. But they were like super cool. It was their first show back after COVID. One of the guys was like laying in the pit playing guitar and
Wow.
like,
Jumping out at the people, pushing
jumping
their
out,
heads.
and like it was
Nice.
like it was so great to like yeah.
Oh,
Really
that's
cool.
nice
There.
to see. It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a
right?
while since I had my head pushed around.
Yeah, the mosh pits were so
The
close.
moshing
I
for
know,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
time like
More
after
intimate,
COVID,
you know?
I was like, this feels so wrong but so right.
Yeah, exactly.
So many different people sweat on you.
I didn't know how much I needed this.
Yeah, exactly. Alive again until you wake up.
Thanks for having that event, Grace.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, she's been having event after event after event, and it's been dry coming out of COVID, but somehow she's made it work. You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's incredible.
Just
And it's getting bigger
it's getting bigger and better. Yeah.
You know it.
Fuck yeah. Like you
Everything
said,
is.
people are, they want something to do. They want to have something to look forward to. Yeah.
Exactly.
They're hungry.
And
Oh, I have one local
Oh, yeah.
music person, by the way. I was just talking about her recently, and then I was also watching one of her like live streams. Thug Shells in the house. Y'all should check her out. She's a DJ, mixer, and she has this really like creepy, weird, quick, sweet girl vibe. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Check her out. Thug Shells.
Dog show.
What's the beer making process like? I'd really like to know a little bit more
I'll
about
answer this
brewing.
one, and you can answer.
Yeah,
the
Pete
art
will
question.
take this. I'll take all the art questions from now on.
That's hilarious.
It is okay. So it's really fun. If you are a very detail-oriented person who cares about doing a lot of small steps in the correct order, very meticulously to make something.
Is it
that-
like
Precision.
It's
not-
like bacon, like baking.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said bacon. But I'm saying
Bacon.
On bacon strips, on bacon strips, on bacon strips.
Bacon.
Is it like baking where it's like, because I suck at baking because I can't concentrate and do steps appropriately. I like to cook, but you deal with it.
I think that the best way to describe it is it's making good beer is about doing a lot of small steps all correctly in the right order and making the right judgment call based on what happens either during the brew or the fermentation or whatever, and then being able to adapt and adjust to that. So that's like the big ethos or like philosophy of making beer.
It's
But
funny
like
you say that because it makes a lot of sense. Actually, all the people I know who are involved with it, they're meticulous people.
like OCD.
No?
with
Yeah.
it.
there's
That's why they love it.
there's a definite like personality type that making beer attracts for sure. And I won't say too much about that, but it's definitely, it takes a certain type of person to really be into beer. And I guess generally like the basics of the process are we get our dry ingredients into the brewery, we mix malt, that's malted barley, with water at a certain temperature, and we create basically a pre-fermented beer called wort, which is like a sugary grain juice essentially. Yeah, it sounds gross.
It's actually delicious.
It's really good.
I had it for the first time.
You just get wart? Like,
It's good, like sweet.
Yeah,
it's
it's like
It's like when
Warm,
you
it's warm.
when you have like
Yeah.
sugary breakfast cereal and the milk that's left over. It tastes like that kind of.
but it's your cereal, not someone else's.
Yeah,
cereal.
yeah.
You're just drinking the milk.
I heard they sell that
That stuff
stuff
in like cartons now.
Oh,
you
man.
know, like a to-go
Sweet
form of milk, but yeah, they're all like Fruit Loops and like Frosted Flakes flavored and stuff.
That's actually really smart.
We should sell
Yeah,
one
they're
called
right
free,
instant.
free beer.
free beer.
Have it like instead of coffee.
Yeah, well, last time I had it, it's like hot.
Yeah.
It's pretty hot, and you eat it with like dessert,
Mhm.
like a donut or something. It's sweet.
It's like
awesome.
sugary grain juice, basically. And then you take that, you cool it down, you add yeast to it, and the yeast eats the sugar, turns it into alcohol. We pump CO2 into it to carbonate it, and then we put it into a can or a keg. That's a huge oversimplification, but that's basically it.
That's like what I know.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about brewing is I tasted this beer that tasted just like chocolate, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys like put chocolate in the beer? And they're like, absolutely not. It's the
Yeah.
way that we make it. And so how do you make a flavor intended for that? Like you're intending to make chocolate and you make the flavor but without any chocolate. How do you do that?
Very good question. So, you know how the best analogy I could use is, so in coffee, like coffee beans, roasting coffee beans, you have like different levels of roast give you different flavors in those coffee beans. Some are like fruity and super acidic. Others are kind of darker, more chocolatey, more roasty. So basically the grains that you use in brewing are roasted to different levels. And that's where you get like a chocolate flavor, for example, would just come from roasting malt at a specific temperature for a specific amount of time, turns it into malt that tastes like chocolate. Like, yeah.
There's probably so many different layers of flavors than you can
Yeah.
get. Like
Exactly.
chocolate, or you can get maybe like an orange in there. I don't know. Like,
So with the four ingredients that are in most beers, barley, hops, water, yeast,
Yeah.
each one of those ingredients, like there's 2,000 different types of barley, and there's like 1,000 different types of hops, and like hundreds and hundreds of different types of yeast, and then even like water, different places in the world based on the minerals that are in it affects the flavor of the beer too. So it is only 4 ingredients, but the variability within those 4 is huge. And that's not even talking about adding fruit or barrel aging or mixing with wine or mixing with coffee or coconut or anything that's not beer, that we call adjuncts. You can mix it with.
That's a good band name.
yeah.
Adjuncts. But yeah, it's a really specific thing that there's like endless possibility with. Like the ceiling for what you can make creatively as a brewer is very, very high. So yeah, that's why I really like it. It feels like there's always something to learn, and there's always something new to make, and there's always someone inventing some new type of technique or flavor or style or process that no one has thought of yet that, you know, potentially could change everything. So yeah, and a lot of that just comes through experimentation and trial and error, and it's a very creative, kind of very fluid, dynamic thing that is pretty boring at its most base level. Like it's very, it's pretty dry stuff.
Not when there's chocolate
But it
involved.
creates something so much fun.
But it creates something really awesome that is worthy of conversation, and
Yeah.
it gets people together, and yeah, I don't know. So through the lens of like hyper focus and like attention to detail comes this thing that is like greater than the sum of its parts, and that's maybe the best way I could describe it.
Let's just end the
Cheers
podcast.
to that,
Let's end the podcast there. I think that's all you
Cheers to
need.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, best way I've ever heard it said. Better than the
thanks.
sum of its parts, the amalgamation
So-
of it.
How do you like get inspiration for new beers? Do you just like wake
Yeah.
up and you're like,
Ooh.
I'm gonna make this with this?
Yeah, do you do it
One day.
seasonally too? Like,
It's different for, I think it's different for every beer, but sometimes it's a beer that I have in my head that I've just been wanting to make for a long time, and a lot of the time those beers, like if we don't have a reason to make those beers, they just kind of never happen. So I have this kind of like running list of beers that I want to do in my head, and then usually Pete or someone will say like, hey, these people approach us and want to do this project and they want this type of beer, and then I'll say, oh, okay, I'll like go through my mental list of like, this beer would fit well with that, and then that's a lot of how that happens. But then other times it's just like Pete was saying earlier, like I like to make beers that I like to drink.
Yeah.
And that's
so important to you.
That's where everything starts. Is I wouldn't make a beer if it was a beer that I didn't want to drink. Now there are a lot of beers that I want to drink. So
gotta makes it easy.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the most important thing is just like is making something authentic that you yourself would want and would enjoy, and not trying to, I guess, like, pander is the wrong word, but like
that's the right word.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, we don't want to pander. Like, we want our beers to be interesting and unique enough that they have some character and they have something to talk about, but we don't want them to be so off the wall that they're not approachable.
Yeah, like you don't want to do something just because it's popular.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if it sucks and it's popular.
Yeah,
That's
you want to
terrible.
be making it popular.
Yeah, we'd rather
be the trendsetter.
We'd rather do that than like everyone's doing this, so we have to do that as well.
So the bandwagon.
Yeah.
If all your friends jumped off a bridge, you jump.
Depends on where they're getting into. If
I love bridge jumping.
Bunch of water, it's good.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's gravel, no thanks.
Yeah, tell me more about this bridge.
So, as a part of the beer making process, tell us about the best things and the worst things.
The best thing is definitely, it still feels like magic every time, because you kind of just, you make the wort, like I was saying, like the pre-fermented beer. The brewers make the wort, they put it in a tank, and then you add the yeast to it. And 7 to 10 days later, once the yeast is done fermenting, that whole process still every single time feels like it's just like wizardry. Like, I understand on a molecular level what's happening, and still it blows my mind. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't think that's ever not going to be cool to me. So that's, I think, the coolest part about it is maybe just like the fermentation and the fact that it has this kind of like this like air of, I don't know, there's something very like primal and very very like the beer as a beverage, there's a reason that people have been drawn to it for so long, and I think whatever that thing is like persists, and that's why it's cool. There's just something really special about it. The worst part is definitely that it's like way more work than people realize.
Yeah, it's not like you turn on a kettle and then you can a beer. Like, you guys are roughing it. It's hard work.
I've done so many tours, and first tour I ever did, I had no idea what I was getting into, and that's why I took tour after tour of all these breweries, because it's so interesting, and every place has their own way of doing it. They all have their own supplies and their chains, and every single warehouse looks different. It's insane.
And these guys are spending half the time fixing shit.
Yeah.
Things are wrong. They're like hammering things. Like, they're doing some pretty sketchy stuff.
Sometimes,
you know what I mean? Like, it's not just like making beer. There's like, the equipment has to work, and like you know, there's a lot of work that goes into it
to be able to make
being engineers.
Well, I mean,
totally. There's lots of engineers and like chemists and
the best
science people working in beer.
The people that make the best beer are typically like either people who have tried another field, like, let's say, I don't know, chemical engineering or microbiology or whatever, and they're like, well, no, I'm gonna do beer.
It sounds like Breaking Bad, low-key.
Honestly, yeah, they could be cooking meth.
98%.
Yeah. They made the right choice. Legal stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of those, which is, I was surprised on the types of people who brew beer. Like, usually it's never just a guy who likes to drink beer.
Yeah.
Usually those people stay on the other side of the bar.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, like, everyone says, you know, that the joke is just like, oh, you must just like sit around and drink beer all the time. It's like, well,
yes,
no.
but
I mean, like, yeah, I'm not drinking it just to sit there and get hammered or to necessarily enjoy it. Like, I'm trying to pick it apart and see what's wrong with it.
Yeah. You can't enjoy it anymore.
No, you can't. Yeah. Honestly, I said when I came in here, I want to, drink someone else's beer.
It's like it's the same thing with art too. You draw it and you look at it for so long, so you have to distance yourself from it. And everyone's like, "That's cool," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Could be better."
Yeah, it's interesting to say that. I always tell people there's a space for creativity and there's a space for judgment, and they cannot exist within the same realm.
Yeah.
So that's like what stepping back is taking a step to be judgmental and then going back into the creativity. But if you're judgment while you're creating, you're not going to create very much. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah, exactly. You do it, you leave, and then a year later, you're like, "That was sweet."
Yeah,
See, with the fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of beers that I wasn't super stoked on at the time that coming back to after not drinking it for a while, or I'm just like, man, yeah, this was good, and you need that distance. I think a lot of the time to feel that.
It's over the day that we sit down and we're like, that art was sweet. That beer was awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If I talk to any...
This is it, guys.
If I talk to any brewer and I'm just like, any brewer, you say, tell me about this beer, and any brewer who's good will just tell you everything that's wrong with it. And everything that they wish they would have done differently. And if
That's so true.
Right?
Same.
It's
and
so true.
If I hear that, I trust it. I'm like, this must be good because...
Every brewery I've been to, and I meet the brewer. I'm not a brewer at all, but they know I work in the industry. So I'm like, "What's your favorite beer?" They're just like, "Well, they all kind of suck, and they're all amazing."
Yeah.
Anyone who says that this is the best thing you'll ever have, I'll be like, I like this guy.
I think that's also it speaks.
Salesman.
It speaks to the I think there's something about the personality of brewers where there's that I don't know. There's some element of self-loathing that's very important.
It's like a humbling thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all like to get drunk, kind of togetherness. You gotta have that humility.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but no one ever makes a recipe and calls it done.
No.
It might taste the same to most people, but it's always getting better and better.
Yeah, unless you're really cocky and just it can't get any better.
Yeah, this is it.
Even Picasso himself said a painting is never finished. And
never.
Every time I feel that.
Never finished.
Never.
I always feel that musicians are kind of ruined with listening to music because they're always let's say someone plays drums, then they're thinking I'm not a musician, so I don't know the words, but they're doing this and they're just hearing that, or guitar or whatever, that's the only thing they're listening to. I feel kind of ruined for beer.
And then any band that puts out a record where they're like, this is the best album ever, they never get a better album. They put a new one out and it sounds a little bit different, or it sounds the same, and they get shit on for it. You'll never win. Once you hit that peak, it's over. Yeah,
beer is definitely ruined for me forever. Because
as he chugs beer,
I'll never go back.
I don't want this.
I wish I'll never go back to the time where I knew how to drink a beer without analyzing it. I'll never be able to feel what that's like. And I can't just turn it off. That's not to say that I don't appreciate I don't know, quote unquote shitty beer. I'll drink a PBR or
I was just gonna say,
Corona or anytime. Building a fence on a hot day.
Yeah. It might not hit the same now.
No.
With this one, maybe.
If I was expecting it, it would not be the same.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So one more question about brewing, is I was just wondering if you could explain something like you'd explain it to a 5-year-old. When the actual process of brewing happens and the fermentation goes on, can you explain it what's that girl? Mrs. Frizz's school bus?
Oh, yeah.
Those biology lessons?
Okay, so essentially the brewing process, because of the temperature and ingredients involved, produces wort, which we talked about.
Yeah, the wort.
So the
sugar, the food.
Sugary grain juice is food for the yeast. So all brewing yeast eats sugar.
Just
And
like imagine like
Yeah.
No.
Pac-Man.
So they,
Yeah, Pac-Man.
they digest it, and then
they fart out.
CO2, and they poop out alcohol.
so we're
Whoa.
drinking.
Yes.
Yeast-
Yeah.
so
Take
good.
that thought
Kids
to
get
its
that.
logical
Kids get
conclusion.
that.
Yes. That-
Oh my god!
yeah. So it's. I mean, kind of gross when you look at it that way, but
Yes.
it's basically the yeast eat and eat and eat sugar until there's none left, and then however much sugar that you start with and end with is how much alcohol is in the beer. So if you start with more sugar, the yeast eats more sugar.
More alcohol.
Exactly. So
And then we just drink the yeast,
go
and
back
we're
to
like,
go back to the place that when you found that beer you like and be like what started as the most sugary thing and ended up with the thing that I want to get out of.
yeah,
I'll get it.
it's actually it's wild when you taste it before and after fermentation. It kind of tells you everything you need to know, because it goes from being like really thick, syrupy, sugary, flat, and then the yeast does its thing, and then all of a sudden it's beer. And that's what I was saying. The kind of magic part is the yeast really does all the work.
Yeah.
The brewers get only a little bit of credit. Like the yeast is the real workhorse in the whole beer making process. So everything we do is just about trying to make the yeast happy and trying to give the yeast the food that it wants to eat the most, so that we'll do the best job of making the best beer possible.
They're
So
like shepherds.
yeah,
Moving the
yeast
sheep,
shepherds.
feeding them, moving
Yeah.
them around, getting them to go where you want them to go.
That's a
what I
really-
wanted.
that's
Yeah,
a really
5
good-
exclamation.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
like the
really
poop
good
one.
analogy.
You like the poop one, but
Yeah,
you like
I
the
did.
sheep.
Brewers are yeast shepherds. Yeah,
Yeast shepherds.
totally.
Bad
That is
name,
too
t-shirt
funny.
too.
Oh, actually,
Thanks
I'm
for
just
painting the picture, though. Yeah.
I'm just realizing this. The Calgary like homebrewers club is called Yeast Wranglers. So
Pretty good.
very appropriate.
That's
for
way
Calgary.
cooler than shepherd. That's
Yeah,
kind of
Wrangler. Yeah, it's a little more badass.
It's very Calgary. Yeast cowboy would be way cooler.
Oh man,
New beer.
I was just saying that.
Yeah. We gotta like do something. All the stuff that we say here is ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trademarked.
Anyone listening to this, you can't have it.
Yeah. And I guess speaking of sayings, who came up with the crushed beers, not dreams?
I don't even
so
know.
sweet.
I don't know. It's been used before. Like, if you look at the hashtag, there's other people who've used it. We just, like, put it on a bunch of art.
It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
That was weird.
I didn't even understand. I was like, I kind of get it. It's just fun to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that doesn't make a lot of sense, but
And it was a joke when we first
Isn't
used
there
it, like...
a mural though of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I painted on a mural. But the first time we ever really used it was I did a drawing of McDavid. Like,
oh yeah.
and it was after a Calgary game.
Goals, not dreams.
Yeah. And
Wait. You didn't do a drawing of McDavid. You did a drawing of the Edmonton professional hockey team's best player. Who...
That's very specific. A person that plays stickball.
Yeah. We want to make it more vague.
No, that's his name.
Yeah.
Stickball.
But I drew a picture of him after a game, and I feel they won, but he took a bunch of penalties. He's all cut up, and he's bleeding because they beat the shit out of him. And that was when we first used it. And I was like, I don't even know what this means.
Yeah. Sorry, there's not a cooler origin story.
Yeah.
From the
Like you
internet.
guys could like great beer from right here.
Yeah, that was we made that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, that was all. That was
Super good
yeah. Ian was pretty. Like I remember before we had a business plan or everything. Ian was like, "Great beer from right here." That's
It was Jay's idea.
Yeah.
Was
I love
it?
that.
Yeah, no, it-
Oh,
I
that's-
remember because I was at Ian's house and Jay's like said it, and you know when someone says something, you're like, how is that not already
A thing?
A
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
That means you gotta make it a thing.
right? And,
Yeah.
and I liked it because it was like equal amount of letters.
Aesthetically.
So
that's
from
true,
is
too.
like center, and everything is like it's symmetrical. like, oh. Whoa.
You were looking at it through a designer's
Yeah,
eyes.
I don't know how to spell. I don't know how to spell, but I could see it.
That's too funny.
And we make a lot of sayings just for the hell of it. 'Cause
That
it's
was
way more fun.
That was weird. I remember when that was first brought up, I thought, there's no way that's got to be taken.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
someone's
Oh
definitely
yeah, I've
used
heard that before, you know, right? But
But no one's done it.
Shh.
No one's done it.
Probably only heard it before
Pretty
because
cool.
you guys made it.
Well, then it worked.
Didn't it? Congrats.
There's some super good ones.
So you guys have a lot of connections to the music industry and stuff like that.
We do.
You guys probably all started off in bands, and did you guys end up almost using that as a way to sell your beers to local
Oh,
locations as
100%.
well? So what was
100%.
your first place you guys sold at?
Was at the Buckingham
Buck.
on
The
White
Buck.
Ave.
The
And
Buck.
it's
Yeah.
when we started, the reason why we did one beer and we never canned the beer, we did all kegs, is because through the music years we've played at enough venues and bars, and we know
Yeah.
enough people who are like working in bars, and a bunch of our guys do work in bars because it's the only really job you can get outside of being in a band. Like, you can't have a
Yeah.
regular job when you're touring all the time. So we knew at least any decent cool bar in town, we knew who was running the beer program or owned it or ran the bar. So when we made the Blonde Ale, it's like half the people didn't even have to try it. We're just
Yeah.
like, we're making beer now, and they're like, put it here. So we launched our Blonde Ale at the Buckingham before we even finished building our brewery.
Yeah. Months
So,
before.
yeah.
Not many breweries can say that. Like,
No, it's
that
hard to get on
connection is
tap.
Insane.
Hard to get
and
on
you
tap.
start on tap. That's
Yeah. And we knew that there's a lot of competition overall, but not for us. That we were able to like sneak in there, and no one else could do the same thing. So
Yeah.
we really utilized that, and like
It's really hard to get on tap at places. It's highly competitive, and also it's not really typical for a brewery to start with that in mind as their business model. Like,
It's
hey,
a
we're
little
gonna get
different.
on tap at all the coolest bars right away. Like,
Yeah.
that just, people don't do that because it's impossible
Yeah,
if
it's
you don't
insane.
know the right people. So
Yeah.
it was we were so focused on kegs right away where we didn't even do cans until like a
COVID.
year and a half in COVID.
No
Yeah, basically
way.
we barely did cans.
Think about that, eh?
We had a company coming in from Vancouver doing all of our canning for us. They'd bring a canning line on a truck, and then we thought, okay, well, this is like crazy. And then COVID happened, and it was like, well, we should do this
all
ourselves.
all the bars are closed.
All the bars are
Yeah.
closed. No more keg beer.
Yeah.
Kind of got it now.
Yeah.
Wow,
Either
that's
we're
kind
drinking
of
it all, or we're putting it into.
But we didn't even
natural, you know?
We didn't even have like a lot of plans to do a ton of keg beer at that time. It was just all
Or canned beer.
canned beer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was all focused on premise at the bars and restaurants.
Wow, you guys are available in a lot of locations now, though. Like,
Yeah.
where else can I see you guys?
Oh man.
I would say almost every, like anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Was that sea change? Oh, that's sea change.
Yeah, we
That's
worked
so
really
good.
hard for that, and we got to hire a bunch of really great people to do sales for us. Like, a lot of them were band people who know, very personable, very nice people. Some of them had really not a ton of sales experience, and they were just, we trust them.
Yeah.
And
And
it's,
they're probably also connected too.
yeah,
So,
and they can talk
Yeah.
about our beer because they know who we are and what we do. And
I think we actually we hired people on our sales team more for their like connections in the bar and music scene more than for their beer knowledge, which I don't know, a lot of brewers would say is weird or counterintuitive, but it's all about those relationships and building and maintaining those relationships. And I think our sales reps are really, really good at that. They're
Yeah.
such
Yeah,
awesome
it
people. Like,
works.
they're
everybody
people you
loves
wanna
them.
Like them. Like,
Well,
I'd say a
that's
lot of it is like
perfect.
you trust this person.
Totally.
They don't come in with like a ill-fitting suit trying to sell you something they don't drink or believe in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's really hard to convince someone. So it's super easy to convince someone to drink beer that looks cool, tastes good, and the person selling it feels like the person who brewed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Yo, I totally get that vibe from you
Yeah,
guys.
musicians are a bunch
Yeah.
of liars and
Fake.
sales.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a natural fit.
Snake oil salesman.
Snakes, just snakes all around us. It's too funny.
They
So, what are you guys' future ambitions as a company? Anything you want to share?
Well, we made some huge moves. We've been thinking about just how to do more cool shit that we like. And, I mean, the festival was a huge move. And then, I don't know how this happened, but we just thought of, like, maybe we should distill, like, liquor. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So, we it's public knowledge now, but we started a new brand. And we're going to do gin and vodka and, like White Claw stuff.
Oh, that's super cool.
Like hard seltzers and
Yeah.
things like that, and just do something a little bit different than beer. And
But also other like whiskey, rum,
Yeah.
other kind of higher end stuff too.
cocktails, canned cocktails, things like that.
Oh, like Ben's Cosmopolitan. He's got a little canned cocktail that he was like showing
nice.
us beforehand. He likes the bottle, so he was like, "Let me collect
liked
you
the
cool
bottle.
bottles."
The stubbies.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's a whole other fun world that we're gonna dive into this year. So
that is so fun.
Yeah,
you
it's
know, I'll
super
be buying
exciting.
the first one that comes
Yeah.
out. Cha-ching.
oh, yeah, maybe a collector's item. Maybe.
Woo!
Yeah. It's like the first.
Now we just have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, we made the decision to do it before figuring out how to do it, which is something we do a lot. But
Yeah.
we always seem to figure it out. So, well, for the most part.
Yeah, can't be that hard, right?
Yeah. What, this like time honored tradition of like making something like super sensitive and like meticulous and difficult. Yeah.
As long as it's not the worst.
It's gonna be the best.
I think
I know it.
I think the same reasons we were successful at making beer, I think are very transferable to that world. So
Yeah.
I think it'll work, but who knows?
It has to now. We've
Kind of
all-
has to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got no other choice but
Yeah.
to.
Choice.
So
Go
expect
forward.
like we're gonna do another tap room, like our bar, but it's not Sea Change. It's a whole new brand, and it's all liquor forward.
Ooh,
So
that
we're
is
very
so
excited.
exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And you guys are doing quite a few events, right? This summer? Sponsorships and
Yeah,
stuff?
we
You guys
sponsor-
showing up at some places?
We sponsor a lot of events. It's always new
Yeah, you
stuff,
do.
but anything that's like arts related or music related or just like I don't know, like I don't want to sound
Next Fest? I
self-righteous
don't
or
know.
cool, but it's like anything that has like a good cause, we're always stoked on.
Mhm.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, everyone needs good beer. Like it doesn't matter
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just if there's an event that we like the people running it, or it's a good cause, or it's exciting or fun, we're in.
Mhm.
Yo, so low key, can I spread the word, and have people contact you guys? I know a lot of festival people.
Oh yeah. If you're
Absolutely.
if you want beer at your festival,
Yep,
like,
yep.
let us know. We'll help you out.
Sweet. Okay,
Yeah,
good
we
to
want
know.
to be everywhere.
Good to
all the
know. I have so many ideas running through my mind.
Yeah.
Sweet. Like the beer?
Awesome. Well, I think that's all of our questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing all this information, guys. Like,
Well,
we
thank
were
you
so
guys.
excited to have you.
Do you
Awesome.
guys
Yeah,
have
this was fun.
anything to say to leave the people?
Any
with?
last words? I always like hold up a gun.
This is where you're supposed to like plug on hot
Yeah,
ones. You'd
yeah,
like
plug.
plug your. So I'm in this new movie.
We've been plugging ourselves the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Buy more local beer.
Yeah, not just us, but every local beer.
All the
Keep it local, y'all.
Keep it local and know what local is too. That's some people are sketchy.
There's a lot of brands out there that they have the appearance of local and like
yeah.
grassroots and authentic.
Posers. Just kidding.
Posers.
I said posers. but-
Posers.
I'm just kidding.
It's so fun.
A local
Yeah.
poser.
There's a lot of really good people making a lot of good beer in this province that I think people are just starting to find out about. So support that. It's a really awesome thing that's happening in Alberta that's kind of not really happening to this level anywhere else in Canada.
Yeah. It's weirdly, it's like, it's insanely good. Like, we're not like support local
Right.
and it's like, backwater, dirty beer. Or
Yeah.
something. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
In Canada, we got
don't
French
support
waters on
those
demand.
guys.
Edmonton,
But like, everything coming out is just amazing. It's great.
Alberta in general in like 5 years went from being, I remember I moved here in like 2013 and started drinking beer at that time, and like there were a couple good options, but you know, in the span of whatever 5 or 6 years, it's just absolutely insane. You can get
My goodness.
beer that is as good here than anywhere in the world, no matter what style you're looking for. There's a brewery in Alberta that makes a good example of it, like a really good world-class example of it. So I don't think a lot of people know that. So yeah, doing our best to like educate people and get that word out there, and the more people that drink Alberta beer, the more that all the Alberta breweries benefit, you know.
Yeah.
I'm proud.
Don't move to Vancouver. Don't move to Toronto.
Don't do
Yeah.
Stay in
We
Edmonton.
preach that all the
There's
time.
good music.
it.
Yeah.
Preaches
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Good music,
Good
good
music,
beer.
good art, good beer. Like, you can afford a
Why
house.
not stay?
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking sweet in Edmonton.
Oh yeah,
Everything
I
you
heard
need
it's
is right
the
here.
highest population of entrepreneurs and young workers as well.
Yeah, because
so.
it's the only place you can afford to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah,
right?
You can't. if you go to Vancouver, like, good luck.
Yeah.
Oh
Literally.
god, that's
Good luck.
scary and sad.
Yeah.
But welcome to Alberta, like Edmonton.
Stay in
Yeah.
Edmonton.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the pod.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for
Check
having
out
us.
Sea Change, any liquor store.
Every liquor
From
store, and if they don't
Every
have
liquor
it,
store.
Sherbrooke.
ask them why.
Sherbrooke, number one
Sherbrooke
location.
is great.
But yeah, if they don't have it, ask for it.
Yeah.
Keep
Recommendation to
'Cause
the
they can
Prairie
get it.
Ferry.
Anybody can
available.
get it. It's available. You can get it anywhere.
Yeah.
So if they don't have it, they should get it.
Every time we went to go look for Jaeger Deathly, it was always gone. They're like, come back on Thursdays, and we never went back.
And once it's
Yeah.
gone,
Now
it's
I will.
gone.
Yeah.
Do we have any at the tap room?
We gotta save it.
Yeah, you guys got
Savor
just come by the brewery.
Just
We'll-
come by the brewery.
We
It's the
got
best
some.
place to go. It's
Oh,
the freshest
yeah.
and it's the best.
Okay.
But also go to
Be
those
right
liquor
there.
stores.
Yeah, also support that.
Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Oh, thank you.
We out.